Hey gang, it's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com with my friend here, Shepard, and Aggelos from Tales of Tamriel, and we're going to talk about the new released ESO Live one yesterday. Ag, what'd you think of it?
As always, these are one of those episodes of ESO Live that I adore. The ones that were like, oh, they give us so much of. It went for over 2 hours. Like it
Yeah.
was long this time. So much good stuff.
So, what I got out of it, a couple different things we'll talk about individually, is the way ultimates are changing. I thought was really interesting. What'd you think about that?
I actually like the change, but the first thing I heard when I heard the ultimate change, I'm like, oh, Delty is probably freaking out right now because the way they're changing is they're making it a flat buff that when you do light and heavy attacks, you get a buff that lets you generate ultimate every second. So they based it on people do light attacks roughly once a second. You keep getting that buff, keeping up, and gain 3 ultimate at a time. They also changed the way healing was done. That you can't just spam your healing
Healing
springs.
springs, yeah.
It only works if the person you're healing has that buff. I like the change. It'll be easier to figure out how much ultimate you're getting. However, some people, specifically Dragon Knight tanks like you, who could drop standards every 3 seconds, I'm not sure how it's going to work for you guys because if you're blocking a lot, you're not really getting
Right.
attacks off.
We'll have to test it. I mean, I think it's a good change overall for the game. Not my class per se, but
Right.
overall for the game, it really brings Ultimate in line where they need to be for everyone. But for the Dragon Knight tank, yeah, you're blocking. I mean, you're not attacking. But to be fair, that might make the game a little more different because now I'm going to have to weave in light attacks to keep that Ultimate going.
Yeah, make your tanking game a little bit more active. It
Yeah,
should be a lot
yeah.
of fun. I think it'll be great. And
I think
plus,
it's a good change.
for theory crafters and stuff like that, there was a lot of hidden mechanics that gained ultimate. It's like for
Oh,
you, all of a sudden you just
yeah.
have full ultimate. I'm sitting there doing my attacks. I'm like, man, it's barely growing at all. There was a lot of unknowns with the current ultimate system of what it was, and I know we talked with Joe Blackburn, which you'll probably hear on Sunday, about ultimates and stuff like that. And he even said, yeah, there's a lot of hidden stuff that was contributing to ultimates, and even with a lot of different things. So now this will be a flat way of going, I can calculate how much ultimate I'm going to gain a second. You know, there's a
Yeah.
way of going, I know that if everything goes right, and I swing once every second, I will have enough for an ultimate within X seconds. Yeah.
It changes the crit game because critical was essentially the way that how hard you hit, how much HP the enemy had, a lot of math in it, but it was based off crit and how hard you hit. So the more crit you had, the more ultimate you got. So basically that's what everyone's game plan was. Stack as much crit as possible. So I think this will change the gearing mechanics of the game where it's no longer going to be just critical. It's not going to be that's not going to be the super most valuable stat. It'll be you want it to get a certain line and a certain weapon power, and that's going to be optimal.
Random question, maybe people who watch can throw in. What do you think this will do to the trait weighted to increase weapon speeds?
Yeah, it might up it. I don't know if there's a cap on the 1 second. Like you can only do it 1 second, or if it's just if you reduce your global cooldown, would it affect that? But that's why we're gonna have to get on the PTS and test it.
Absolutely.
Okay, a couple other ones, and we can't go over all these things, but one is the buff stacking. So basically, beforehand, you had these buffs that basically people would drop a Nova and a Veil, and those would stack. Those ultimates would stack, providing damage mitigation for both of them. So now, though, what did you take away from what they were talking about?
This is kind of cool, both as an individual character and as a group play. There's major and minor of all different buffs, whether it's mitigation, damage, whatever the case may be. And different abilities will grant different buffs. So if you have a person who drops a standard and it does major mitigation, and someone has an ability that does minor, you cannot stack more than that. Like a
Right.
second major and a second major, you won't get 2 majors. You get one or the other. This is awesome because it also will allow for a little bit more diversity on bars because you can look at the abilities and go, this ability gives me, in my case, we'll say damage. This gives me major damage, and this one over here gives me minor. Okay, they're on my bar. Grab another ability. Oh, this does minor. Well, I don't really need this. I can drop it for something else because this other ability gives it to me. It'll allow you to mix and match abilities rather than go, now I got to stack everything. Because before you had to, because everything's stacked. You know, like
Right.
damage mitigation. Like, well, everything gives me damage mitigation. That's what I want. Now it's like, well, this gives me major. This gives me minor. This is all I need. I can now put different abilities for utility elsewhere. It's really cool, and I think it will really play into the group mechanic for trials, and those really hardcore groups will then be able to go, okay, Deltia, you have to have this ability, this major, and this minor, okay, and you over here, you're going to have this major, this minor, so we can cover all the buffs. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that'll be really cool. It'll change a lot of the trials and how things are done. But I mean, change is always scary, and there's always going to be pushbacks, but we as gamers learn to adapt, and overall, I think they see where the game's going, and they're making good changes for the progress of the game. So, one thing that I was disappointed to find out is that you're only going to have 30 champion points to start if you have 1,000,000 alts like me.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you feel about this? You go first.
Okay, well, this is judging from a guy who doesn't get as much time to play. Now, I'm gonna put it like this: Deltia has like all the world. I'm more than a casual. I put in enough to call this a part-time job, but I still don't have as much as some other people. So, like Deltia, he would be way ahead of me. But see, let me rephrase it like this. Because of how champion points are going to work in the long run, as they said, the first couple points are going to be your most valuable. A person who has 30 points of damage, or 30 champion points versus a person who has 300, there's going to be a power difference, but it's not going to be as exponentially powerful as you think. Because after so many points, you don't get as much benefit from using champion points.
Diminishing returns.
Absolutely. So your 300 may make you 10% more powerful rather than what people would think of 3,000% more powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, the first ones are going to be there, and I know why they did it. They didn't want certain people to be able to go, okay, I have 800 at the start, and everyone else having like 20. So they capped it, and it makes sense. And
it makes sense, but I'm still disappointed because I mean, even give me 1 point for an alt. Give me one, just one, showing me that, it's okay to roll alts. Now, all this time I put in these alts, it seems like I'm getting no incentive to play alts when I like to play Altaster. But I'm just whining.
I don't think it's that much. I think you just hit a cap where you also got to look at it like this. Champion system's new. Okay? 30 points is a good starter point, because if they gave you 800 points right off the way, what happens if you found something broken within the champion system that...
Oh, I'm going to find something.
Well, yeah, but, you having so many more points, maybe there's something unexpected that you will be able to find, and they go, oh, crud, now what are we going to do? At least starting everyone off at a lower cap gives them time to figure it out, because not everyone's going to have 800 points at the start.
Yeah, it's a good change.
Yeah, and it's not a disincentive to play alts. It's a disincentive for you to play alts until champion system comes out.
That's true.
I mean, it's not at all a disincentive to play alts. It's more of, I'm capped out currently. I got to wait for it to release. But then I can play my alts and I'll still be earning champion points as I go. That's how I see it.
The thing I'm really curious about with the champion system, we won't know this until we get on the PTS, is how is it earned? Because my worry is that grinding mobs is going to be the most effective way at earning champion points, because it's experience. Mm-hmm. So doing a trial, doing a Dragonstar Arena is going to reward you minimal champion points at best. Where if you sat out in Craghorn and Spellscar grinding mobs, you get tons of them. So I'm really wondering how they balance that. Either they need to change how it's earned, up the experience for trials and the harder content to basically match, what it's worth, or nerf down experience gain from grinding mobs.
See, I think they're going to go with experience gain, because they've already said that's what they're planning on doing. My major concern is, um, I, as much as people hate it, I kind of wish they did champion points as a currency to earn. And the reason for this is you could then make it that any mob is worth 1 champion point, but when you down a raid boss, make it 200. You know, something that you could scale it based. Yeah, you can grind mobs all day. 3 hours to grind this mob, you'll earn 200 points. Great. Or you could spend 2 hours in Serpent Trial, down a boss.
That's exactly what I want
get
to
the
have.
same amount. I don't think that's how they're going to go. I really don't, because they've already talked about experience, and I know they didn't like the veteran point system. So I think they're going to try to steer away from.
Well, you know what's going to happen. You know what will happen.
Oh, yeah.
People like me, meatballs like me, will be grinding 8 hours a day to get ahead.
Yeah. Again, even with the diminishing returns, though, I think there's going to come a point where after the first couple points, people are going to be like, do I really want to grind this much? And I think it'll be a growing thing, because people will see this. They will see the metrics going. People are just grinding in Spellscar to get experience to level or to get more champion points. They're not playing our other content. How can we incentivize? And I mean, it's going to take them time. That you got to see the metrics first. You can't just shotgun reaction it, go, oh, this is what people are going to do, because we know they will, but you still have to see the metrics. What are the amount of people doing this? How much are they earning? How can we change it?
And it's not final, to be honest, which is we can get them the PTS, we can give them feedback, because that's the first thing I'm going to do, is check out, I'm going to get a million screenshots and videos, but after that, I'm going to go test out. Now, I'm in Entropy Rising, and we're going to have guild raid nights on the PTS. So we're going to see what downing Serpent Trial rewards us. Now, I'm going to time it. So I'm going to say I could do Serpent Trial for roughly 2 hours, you know, if we have breaks and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Or I could grind mobs for 2 hours and do the math. I'm going to send them a forum post about it. Because if it is not equivalent, that needs to be changed. Otherwise, it could fundamentally flaw the game.
The whole idea behind the champion system was to advance your character by playing the game. And I'm sorry, some people like grinding. Deltia, I know, like, you'll do it to get ahead, but it's not fun gameplay.
Oh, it's terrible. I hate it.
It's boring. That's something where you put on, then you put Netflix on. You're not playing the game anymore, and that's a problem.
And I don't think Serpent Trial should be, because not everyone has access to it, not everyone can do it. So I don't want Serpent Trial or the top end stuff to be, you know, way ahead of everything. But I want equal time to, you know, that's
you
really
need to be able to earn the same amount of champion experience doing DSA, veteran dungeons, anything like that, as you would grinding mobs. It needs to be even along the board. I agree. Or even PvP. PvP needs to be in there too, where all of it. You need to be able to go, if I'm doing this, I can expect, like they said, a metric of a champion point an hour. Well, does that champion point an hour fit into trials, PvP, grinding mobs? Yeah. Get on the PTS and test.
So that's kind of, I mean, there's so much to cover. We're not going to cover that all right now because... we have a special interview with Joe Blackburn that goes into the Champion System even more in detail. Yep. And that's going to air this tomorrow, Sunday, December 21st, talesoftamriel.com. I will be streaming gameplay and show the video. And then also I'm going to have it on my YouTube channel here, Deltia's Gaming, the video version. So if you want to see Joe Blackburn's arm, I guess, you can tune in for that. So it was a really great interview. I think it really enhances ESO Live. It doesn't really take anything away. He goes into a lot more detail on class-specific stuff that's changing.
Yep. So
it is really cool for the podcast to get something like that, you know.
Absolutely. It was a definite honor to do it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, these developers, this game, it's just different. It really is. It's all about the community, and they work with us and try to help us, give us knowledge. And, you know, they did say some stuff about consoles. I know there's a lot of you watching that really want consoles. Trust me, let them get it right. Let them get Champion System tuned up so when you get it, it's not a mess. Let us PC players figure it out for you. Because believe me, there's gonna be some bumps in the road. There will, and I'm sure I'm gonna be the first meatball that finds the biggest exploit possible because I want my character to be awesome. But So stay tuned. Go to talesoftamriel.com if you haven't been already and listen to us. Aggelos is the main host. I'm on there, and Thais, and we ramble on about Elder Scrolls. So it's just great. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow to get that special interview. Bye.
See ya.